And you know, this isn't just a victory for Kshama and Socialist Alternative in Seattle, but it's also a victory for the fight for $15 an hour minimum wage. And it's something that we're going to get done in 2014. I also think this victory is inspiring people here in Seattle and across the nation to get involved in politics, that change is possible, and that we need to start running people left of the Democrats all over the country to show that there's an alternative to the two parties of big business. So it's in that spirit that we've brought you here together today. We're going to hear from Kshama. We're going to hear from a number of community leaders who've been involved in the campaign to talk about what's next. We've won, but now it's time to build for another victory. So after we hear from the speakers today, we'll break out into smaller groups, and we're going to get back out into the community, because that's the kind of work that we do. We're going to make sure that all of the votes for Kshama and for $15 an hour are secured, and start building for that movement here in Seattle. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started, because we're running behind as usual. We're going to hear from Abdi Mohammed, who is with the Somali American Public Affairs Council and was integral in the fight for 15 in SeaTac. Abdi?
Thank you all, thank you all. Thank you all who came here today. How are you feeling today? Can I hear it loud? How are you feeling today? Is it a beautiful day today? Thank you all who came here today to show your support for Kshama. I've never doubted that Kshama will win this race. I am a big believer, and I believe from the first day that Kshama will be winning this race. Kshama, as an Indian American, Kshama has an accent like me. Kshama is a woman of color, but all those things didn't stop her to win this race. And that speaks a lot. And this shows how the general public are disappointed with the corporation and the wealthy minority who are oppressing the working families. I'm very excited for the great support the East African community have for Kshama. We all know that Seattle is a very expensive city with the current wage, the high rent, the cost of living. We need to do something about this. And we can do something about this if we are all united and are ready to make change. Are you ready to make change in Seattle? Are you ready to make change in Seattle? Raise up your hand if you are ready to make change in Seattle. Thank you all. Today is the beginning of the fight. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you.
So next we will go to Dave Freiboth. He is president of the King County Labor Council.
Hey everybody, I just got to say, this is probably one of the first times that I'm happy that we were wrong. Look, 3 minutes, right? I'll be brief. Look, this political game that we're stuck in, this two-party system that we are faced with is so frustrating at times. I know that those that I work with Paul Bigman, David Oliveira, Stan Sorsher, I've got a couple board members here today, understand that the pressure from the left is our only salvation, right? That building... that building the movement from the left so that we can convince, in some cases, our own members that forget voting for Democrats, that voting for Republicans are not in their interest. That exercise gets so frustrating at times that I got to tell you, I get a little tired of holding my nose and endorsing a candidate we think's going to win. And in this case, you guys went out and did it. You went out and you gave us the backing, you gave us the pressure from the left that there's so many of us have been waiting for, right? Have been trying to engender, have been in our leadership roles, have been really trying to keep that flame alive so we can deal with the real problem, the concentration of wealth in corporate America, right? 1 minute. So I just want to say this. There may be some folks that I represent that are a little concerned that old Dave's at this function. And, so what? So what? Does the clapping count in the time? I've said many times, there's a point where I don't want the job, right? If I got to really kind of sell out to that extent, I don't want to do this. So to the degree that we have in this town elected a socialist candidate that's going to be someone that we can work with, we don't have to convince, we don't have to worry about what the business community is going to be. We can go and actually, we can collaborate on strategies to push a progressive agenda, to empower people that are being so badly exploited. This is a wonderful thing. I'm so glad to be here. Congratulations on what you did. Philip and the gang, you guys, you got it done. Seattle, there might be hope. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So next we have up Dan Schwartz, who is the executive chair of the Seattle Sierra Club.
Hi, thank you. It's an honor to be here today. I personally got involved with environmental activism because I believe that all things in this world are interconnected. With this belief comes a conviction that we all have a responsibility to care for one another and for the earth that makes our lives possible. Politically, this means we need to organize our society so that our institutions reward actions that make people healthier and happier, that preserve the planet's capacity to sustain us, and that recognize the unbreakable bond between these two goals. We need a political system and an economic system that make it impossible for the few to benefit and to profit from the impoverishment of the many. We need to forbid the selling of our shared future for the sake of short-term gain. We need leaders like Kshama Sawant who are dedicated to building this better world. Now, there can be no society without a healthy environment. And for the moment, some are able to shelter themselves from the costs of our prosperity, and they don't want to mess with what they see as a good thing. But we know that in the long term, no one will be able to hide. We're all in this together, and unless we act quickly and decisively to change the way our society operates, we will bear the responsibility for the effects of climate change and the failure to build a just society. So I say we take this challenge as an opportunity to create the change we need right now. Let's demand of our elected officials that they create an economy that puts people over profits, where a commitment to sustainability, to social justice, and to human dignity is intrinsic to success. I support Kshama because I know she shares this vision and is committed to making it a reality. But she can't do it alone. She'll need our help. So as the excitement of this week's victory fades into the daily grind of lawmaking, let's all promise to stay engaged and keep pushing for change. We're going to continue to get business as usual.
That was great, and I'm glad that Dan made that point that we're going to need to build a movement to make this stuff happen, these changes happen, and so that's why we're all here today. You're going to hear that over and over again. And so on that note, I'm going to ask Jess Spear to come up. She is an organizer with Socialist Alternative, and she also did the amazing task of volunteer coordinating for the Kshama Sawant campaign for Seattle City Council.
Thank you. Thank you all. Wow, it's a much larger crowd than when I first sat down, so I'm sort of overwhelmed. For me, this is a really proud moment, and I think it's safe to say for everybody else in this room as well. And I just want to talk a little bit about what made this campaign possible, what made it possible for us to have a win. And I think there are two main reasons that we should be alive to. The first is that there is a deep hunger in this country and around the world for an alternative. And that is a result of the rotten capitalist system that is completely unable to meet the needs of humanity and the environment that sustains us. The second reason is because Socialist Alternative had an analysis that there was this hunger. It existed, it was underneath and not visible to everybody. And we noticed it, and we took an initiative and started to run. We ran last year for State House against Frank Chop and got 29% of the vote, showing that there was a hunger, that it was there, that we could tap into it and give it an expression. And then obviously this year we ran and got an even more amazing result of actually winning a city council seat in one of the largest cities in the country. And it's worth thinking about how we were able to do that. We did that by combining a program of a struggle for a $15 an hour minimum wage, affordable housing, and taxing the super wealthy to pay for our social services, to challenging the pro-capitalist parties that dominate our system, and offer an alternative, socialism. So what do we mean by that? I know there's some confusion about what do we mean by socialism, so I just want to quickly say what we mean by that. Socialism is a more rational way of organizing society, where production is organized to meet the needs of humanity and the environment. It also means economic democracy, where we all have a say in what's produced, how it's produced, and what we decide to do with all the goods and services and the profits that come from that. It's important when I mention socialism to contrast that with what we have right now in capitalism. So just to concretize that and give you an example, look at what's going on right now with Boeing. Exactly. After posting record profits, they still deem it necessary to demand an $8.7 billion tax handout, and that their workers have their pensions cut and their pay raises, cut as well. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I'm really, really happy to hear what Dan said about, the need to fight against climate change as well. As a climate scientist, this is something that's near and dear to me. It's why I'm a socialist. I mean, look what's going on with the Philippines, where we had this massive typhoon, the largest in recorded history, just totally destroy many, many areas in the Philippines, and people are left there with no food. It's not as if we don't have food. It's not as if we don't have helicopters and planes to fly in provisions. Why isn't that happening? We have to ask ourselves that. Why is there food to feed people, but 1 billion people go hungry? That's the capitalist system, where technology and science and all the ingenuity of humanity are only unleashed if it can make a profit, not to meet the needs of humanity. So we're fighting for that alternative system of socialism, and this campaign shows that it's totally possible when we organize and we build a tool to fight back and fight for that equitable, sustainable future. Socialist Alternative is a nationwide organization of economic and social justice activists, and if you want to fight for that more just, equitable world, I invite you to join us in Socialist Alternative. If you want to end the dominance of big business and Wall Street over society, join us. Join Socialist Alternative and the struggle for a more equitable, sustainable world. Thank you.
Thanks, Jess. Next we have Jasmine Marwaha from Unite Here Local 8. She's a community organizer. So Jasmine?
Good afternoon, everyone. Woo! The energy in this room is electric. I'm so excited to be here. I just want to say that, I don't have too much to add. Just want to say that we're excited to really put the concerns of low-wage workers front and center at City Council. And we look forward to working with Kshama to put those concerns, the $15 minimum wage, making sure that the hotel worker is equal to the hotel owner in policies. And I just want to say that with Unite Here Local 8, we're going to continue to organize to fight for the needs of workers, and we look forward to working with you all. Thanks so much.
All right, now we get to hear from Carlos Hernandez, the organizer with the fast food workers strike. Carlos?
It's okay. Yes. I just very thankful for being here, and it is an honor in many ways to be in this place in front of the many people who has been working very hard to get to this place that Kshama is now. And I wanna start with a small story. When I was in the rally in the national strike, I remember that I heard many politicians talking. Almost all of them were talking, about they support us, and they are with us, and they understand our struggle. And normally, to be honest, I already know what a politician will say, and I was like, yes, thank you. But you know that there is a lot of cameras there and a lot of media. So I remember that I heard Kshama talk, and I didn't know who was Kshama, and I didn't know what socialism was. I thought when I came to this country that you had two parties, you had Democrats and Republicans. That's it. That's what I thought, because I didn't have the opportunity to, media never showed that kind of candidates as Kshama. And it is sad that we don't really have the opportunity to see them. And for me, it was like I hear something different. and my heart told me something, told me that this person was different, told me that I needed to keep listening, and I was surprised, and I asked who is her, and they told me, oh, she is Kshama Sawant. Kshama Sawant, I was like, wow, I even didn't know. I still had a little hard pronunciation, but with names I am not the best. But it was amazing to be there and to hear from her. I remember too, something that happened for my mind that time too is like, it's a store that I always talk in fast food restaurants. Most of the time, I have been working for a little while there. Workers get very mistreated. I remember Irmita. She's one of the fast food worker who worked with me for a long time, and she was one day she was carrying a lot of things because she need to carry a lot of things and for outside. So maybe it will take a little longer, but anyway, that story has inspired me a lot because I think that's what we need to fight. Irmita, she's an old lady, and I really care about people and about family because the most important thing that we need to care, but we forget about it. Irmita has been working there almost 6 years since the restaurant opened, and I remember that the manager was telling her that she need to be careful with the floor because she was using a little car with their wheels. So she was moving all the things with the little car, and the manager wanted her to use, she was a little old. The manager wanted to use her to move the things without the little car. And she was like, Irmita, we need to take care the floor. We need to be having good conditions because they will came to visit. And I recognized that wasn't okay. And I was very obsessed, and I was telling to my manager, that's messed up. You have to know this person for so long time, so you care more for the floor than the person that is here, the person who has been working with you for that long time. So we need a change. We need candidates who represent the people, and we need people like Kshama Sawant, people like Kshama Sawant who will represent and will. I think it's just the beginning, and I think the workers right now are starting to wake up and to fight back, and it is important to have a person like Kshama Sawant in the city council so we can keep fighting together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carlos. Next up, we have Philip Locker, an organizer with Socialist Alternative and the political director of the Kshama Sawant campaign for Seattle City Council.
I'm going to repeat what Jess said. The room looks a lot larger up here. This is really a phenomenal event, which really is the perfect punctuation point for this incredible campaign. This was a historic campaign. We made, all of you and all of us, we made history together. And we're making history here tonight. When was the last time a city council candidate or a mayoral candidate had a room like this? One of the things actually in the excitement that I think has been lost, we were hoping some of the other speakers were going to talk about, but I'm now going to fill in a little bit, is one of the things that Kshama is going to be doing on the city council, and I'm sure she'll talk more about this. Well, first, she's going to be a representative for us, for working people, for the poor. Her number one job is every time workers and ordinary people are in struggle, are fighting back, to use her position to support them. And so one of the things we wanted to use today's rally is also to, in that spirit, to really urge people to get involved in two important struggles that are taking place right now in this area. Number one, the Boeing workers that was talked about before are facing an outrageous assault on their pensions by a CEO who has written his own contract to pay himself $250,000 a month in his pensions. Not only that, he went to the state and said that one of the richest companies in the world was so much in need, they needed $8 billion in tax breaks. Anyone here getting tax breaks from Washington State? Are we seeing the sales tax go down? No. That's right. At the same time, he has the gall to call for Boeing workers, who are the ones making the planes, for their pensions to be cut. And those workers had the strength, had the courage to stand up to that kind of blackmail. In some ways, like our campaign, they defied what the experts told them. They defied what the serious people said, what all the corporate media said. You can't vote that down. Even some people in the higher ups encouraged them to vote for it. But they stood up and they said no. And we stand completely behind them in support, and I want to urge everyone here, and our campaign, Kshama will be there on Monday. There's going to be our solidarity rally with the Boeing machinists at 4 o'clock at Westlake. And if you're serious about what this campaign's about, you will be there too, right? And maybe when I'm done, we can bring back the speaker from Unite here to talk a little about the struggle that they're having with the hotel companies here in Seattle and the boycott they're calling. Unfortunately, with everything going on, I don't want to botch the details, so I would urge the sister to come back up and just briefly talk about that when I'm done. But on to what I was supposed to be speaking about with all the extra time I have. This was an incredible campaign. And obviously there's a tremendous excitement and energy in this room, and we're celebrating here today. But we have to ask ourselves, what are the lessons we can draw from this unprecedented election campaign? And what are the next steps? What are the tasks going forward? And I think, number one, the key task that we've discussed, that we've clearly said in the campaign, and unlike other candidates who say one thing when it comes to election time and have a completely different agenda once they're elected, our number one priority going forward is to fight for a $15 an hour minimum wage in Seattle. Not 5 years from now, not 10 years from now, not now. For all those in the corporate media and the political establishment who say we need to have studies, we need to have committees, we need to sit down and talk to business leaders and make sure everyone's at the table. I'm going to steal a line from Kshama during the campaign. We welcome them to write letters to the landlords and tell them they need to wait to collect their rent. As long as the landlords think they can keep hiking rent, the highest rates in the country, we cannot wait for a $15 an hour minimum wage. But we know it's not going to happen because we have one representative on the city councils prepared to fight for it, right? We can't just think Kshama's going to fight with all her strength. You can rely on that. But she needs you. We need to have a powerful mass movement to keep the pressure up completely, to hold the politicians' feet to the fire and not give them an inch to back down. So one of our first tasks is we are going to bring together, we're making an appeal to all those who support a $15 hour minimum wage, from the labor movement to progressive organizations, civil rights movements, rank and file workers, activists, to come together in a broad coalition to organize a mass rally of at least, we're Seattle, we just made history, at least 10,000 people at early 2014. We've got to keep the pressure up. We cannot let this opportunity slip through our fingers. And it's going to take protests like that to do that. Kshama will be working to write and move an ordinance for a $15 hour minimum wage. And she's happy to meet with and talk with and collaborate with anyone on the council who's prepared to support that. But let's not be naive. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they agree quickly and the bill goes through. But if they don't, if they try to delay, if they try to water it down, if they try to dilute it, if they try to kick the can down the road, we want to put an initiative to the people of Seattle in November 2014. The final thing I'm going to touch on is just the bigger picture of where we're heading in 2014 and beyond. This is not, what we've seen here is not a peculiarity of just Kshama Sawant, or some people say The Stranger, which is a strange paper, but a very valuable, did a great job in this election. But it represents far more. In Minneapolis, Socialist Alternative also had a candidate, Ty Moore, who ran for city council in Minneapolis. And also made history. He ran the strongest socialist election campaign in the US in decades until our campaign. He won as a leader and activist in Occupy Homes, Minneapolis, which endorsed him. As a leader in Socialist Alternative, he brought together a coalition of the Green Party, of the SEIU State Council of 30,000 workers, of activists, of the immigrant rights movement, and they came in second, 240 votes behind the corporate-backed, corporate-picked candidate of the Democratic Party. That is an incredible result, brothers and sisters. And just like here in Seattle, he was able to shift the whole political debate. All the other candidates had to start talking about the issues he was raising, of $15 an hour minimum wage, of stopping the foreclosures, of a moratorium on foreclosures, and many other issues. We need in 2014 many more Kshama Sawants, many more Ty Moores, independent working class candidates, candidates who are fighting 100%, not halfway, not in words, but in words and deeds, and in every way are completely representing, completely accountable to our side, working people, young people, the environmental movement. That means we cannot take a penny in corporate money. If you any politician who says they're pro-worker, they're pro-environment, and they sit down with the coal companies, and they sit down with Boeing and Shell, etc., they do not deserve our support. And we intend to use the momentum. Seattle can lead the way to set an example nationally for 100 independent, labor, and green, and socialist candidates in 2014 across the country. and a little bit more down the road, but 2015 is coming fast. And the downtown businesses, the corporate establishment, they're gunning for Kshama already. They want to make sure this is a one-off blip and it never is repeated again. Are we going to let them do that? No! And let's make sure that all the corporate politicians, that we have a strong alliance of independent, working class, green, union, socialist candidates, challenging them all in the new district system in 2015.
All right, we're going to hear again from Jasmine.
I think this is the first time I've ever been asked to come back and say more, which is awesome. This is a signal of what kind of campaign this is and what kind of Councilmember Kshama is going to be, which is awesome. I just want to say that, we're all in it together for the $15 minimum wage and for raising the issues of low-wage workers in general in the city. But we all know the $15 an hour minimum wage, it's a start, right? It's just a start, yeah. So when workers are, I work for Unite Here Local 8, which is the hotel workers union, the bussers, dishwashers, cooks, housekeepers, who in much of the city, they struggle. And they struggle for a voice on the job. They struggle for affordable health care for them and their family. They struggle for safe workloads so they don't have to clean 30 rooms, housekeepers don't have to clean 30 rooms in one shift. They struggle for more than their wages, and when workers are organized in a union, they're able to stand up to their boss and say, I know you want me to work for minimum wage with no benefits and no protections, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to demand more. So workers at the Hyatt at Olive 8 and the Grand Hyatt Seattle have called for a boycott of their hotels because the owner, Richard Hadreen, he has not yet agreed to give them a fair process to organize for a union. And so I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to highlight that please do not eat, sleep, do business in any way with the Grand Hyatt or the Hyatt at Olive 8 in Seattle. It's available on our Facebook page too, Unite Here Local 8. If you search that, you can see different ways to spread the message on social media, and please spread the word. So thanks so much for this opportunity.
Thank you. Now we have a special treat. We're going to hear from Gio of the Blue Scholars.
What's up, New Seattle? New Seattle in the building. It is a pleasure to be here. It is an honor to be here, to be part of history. And just came from down south, and the energy here is probably like 10 times what it is down there. So my name is Gio, for those who don't know. I also go by the name of Prometheus Brown. And yeah, congratulations, Seattle. Kshama, thank y'all for having me. I'm going to do a couple pieces from the future. Picture my DeLorean gray, riding away. I just wanted to say, I'll be back in a day. So peace, I'm going back in a day, back to change what has mattered of late. I know the battle's begun, but I'm not trying to hit on my moms. No, McFly, I'm riding on plutonium, overdrive, south side, Chicago 69, find a cat who snitched Fred to the FBI, put a couple in his head and flee back to my ride, give guns to the KKK. Nah, not talking about them rednecks neither, my blood and my people. 1896, beat that bitter defeat. I make copies of the tapes that I lost in the town, take a picture of Jesus and show that he's brown. Watch an MJ concert when Thriller was new and hit Manila for them Spaniard fools that came through. I say hi to that little dude, whisper in his ear. One day, he gonna make this music his career, so he better start now, cause here in 20 years, these kids will wanna hear something new every year. Whatever year I appear, I'ma steer this car to the edge, then veer to the left. But we can't change things. But we can't change shit to reverse the flood, take back the things that were written in blood. And so we come back to the now, because there's no turning back around. So we go into the future instead to find out how to clean up the mess before it gets too out of our hands to see it ever get clean again. Better yet, bring a pen and keep on writing so we never see the end. But the path that we writing make the past look calm, the present look like ain't nothing ever wrong. But dog, I swear to God, if you seen what I saw, you might not believe in God after all. But beyond that was a place where the walls come down and the kids see the world in their palm. Rich people gone, poor people gone. Everybody riding on a hoverboard home. Ain't nobody starving in a former war zone. And every false image of God erased. Everybody leaving nothing to waste. Third world people reclaiming their first place, and the president actually do what the president say. A new precedent the president can taste. First, we gotta figure out a way to bring about the change, because between then and now was a bittersweet war that began right now as I speak through a song. We gotta link arms with arms to feel strong and aim it up at everything we wanna see gone. Bail out the folks that be needing the most and not the bloodsuckers feeding while we bleeding along. Plus, you gotta be original to put out your songs. No program, radio, time, or Viacom, and in spite of all that we might have been appalled back, holla to the bourgeois, tell y'all to fall back. Whatever year I appear, I'ma steer this car to the edge, then veer to the left. But we can't get ahead of ourselves and not work. We gotta put our time in first. So, we're coming back to the now, because we gotta get past somehow. And now you can't change shit and reverse that flood and take back the things that were written in blood. And so we're coming back to the now, because we gotta get past somehow. Thank you. So again, I just want to offer my solidarity. I am the second son of first generation working class immigrants from the Philippines. Any Filipinos up in here? Yeah. It's still standing, still here, and it has been a rough week for my compatriots, for my people back home and the community over here. As you know, Typhoon Yolanda, Typhoon Haiyan, hit the Philippines just over a week ago, and it's been nonstop, no sleep, long meetings, trying to get in contact with family back home, trying to organize, relief efforts, both locally, coordinating with it nationally, internationally, fighting disaster profiteers who are trying to profit off this as well, fighting those motherfuckers off too. It's just been a crazy week, and I just want to take this opportunity to, remind folks that the relief efforts are still going on. I'm leaving for the Philippines in 5 days myself. I'll be part of a team of local organizers who will be, some of whom will be going directly to volunteer with the relief effort through an organization called BALSA. But for those here in the States that want to donate, there's a National Alliance of Filipino organizations called NAFCON, the National Alliance of Filipino Concerns. Yes. Which so far has raised $200,000, and almost half of which has gone already directly remitted back, and aid is going directly, and I don't know if you've been keeping up, but the relief efforts of those who are supposedly on the front lines, the big relief agencies with the big overheads and the militaries and the governments have not responded. It took them a week, and while that was going on, of course, as you probably all know, it was the grassroots, the local coordinating efforts, the organizers who were there organizing before the typhoon even hit, who are the most prepared. And so please, if you can spare either online or check in NAFCON Some of you probably know someone who's affiliated or know someone who knows someone. And with that, I didn't want to bring down the mood, you know, but I want to bring it back up and just say, man, it's been an incredible run, really, this whole year, to see familiar faces, meet new people. As long as I've been a cultural worker, doing my thing in the Filipino community and being an ally to workers' rights, immigrants' rights, I see all these familiar faces, but one thing I can say is that it's growing. It's growing. I feel like I'm meeting new people at an exponential rate who are getting down with what I'm calling New Seattle. And not just New Seattle, but just the new, everywhere. And getting to travel and seeing that happen, particularly in the last 2 years, like this fever pitch. I was the Blue Scholars Tour 2 years ago. We got to check out the different Occupy encampments in 31 different cities. And that energy, even though the physical encampments are no longer there, that energy is still there, present in all the people who are either there or affected by that movement. And I feel it present here right now. So let's keep that going. And with that, I'm gonna do a piece. Kind of nervous about it. It's been a while since Blue Scholars has put out new material, but I wanted to debut a piece in the making, which I wrote with a theme of victory in mind. And I didn't know when would be a right time and place to share this song in the making, but I figured now would be a time. So, all right. Fuck it. I fucking love it. Burning one in public, always did it, but today I'm scared of nothing. We're riding on a tidal wave, living like it's numbered, rapping in my basement like I've never made 100, but I'm still here. Beacon Hill, better get acquainted drinking cheap beer named after active volcanoes. No angels, but the devil's wearing halos over here, so my role models were my motivated peers. Why the music getting bigger when the jobs disappear? I wish it wasn't true, but it's clear. Here, the music stay ever changing. Man, everybody's sick. They use it for medication. I use it on occasion. I used to hate it when the season started changing. Now I love it when it's hailing and the tourists start complaining, telling everybody, man, Seattle is depressing. That shit is partly true, but mostly entertainment. Supposedly a changer, but a game who saw the fame coming ran the other way, so they stay, but I stay hands up when it's raining. No umbrellas on my block, hoodies up. Fuck a neighborhood watch, wanna be cop. Airborne, like a toxic event. I'm rising up, white noise lighted up. My city live as fuck, stay brown like whatever get poured into my cup. Bruh, they out of time and out of luck. Now they say the world finna end. I say it need to begin. Either we eating or we leaving again. Resuscitated, now we breathing again. You only speak one language, you don't know where we been because we win. We win. We win. Say it. We win. Come on, we win. Yeah, we win. One more time. We win. One more time. We win. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
So thank you to Gio, and I just wanted to make sure that everyone got the organization that he was talking about. Was it National Alliance of Filipinos Concerned, if you want to donate to the relief efforts. And with
If Boeing executives insist on relocating the factories out of Washington, that will be destructive not only to the Boeing workers, but to workers everywhere in the state, and indeed the economy of the entire state. And if they insisted on doing this, that would be nothing short of economic terrorism. And if they insist, the only response we can have to reject this blackmail is to tell the CEOs, if you want to go, you can go. The machines are here. The workers are here. Let us take this entire productive activity into democratic public ownership and retool the machines to produce mass transit.